Anita.
Hello.
Ross, Cliff, hang on.
Tony.
Dean.
And Tanya. And we have an opportunity today to have Peter with us. It's not that easy to have the conditions and situations and live far away and be here with us. So I invited Peter to give us a little bit of an introduction. You want to stay where you are, or you want to come here? Up to you.
Well, where would you prefer me to be?
Oh, easy. Yeah.
Can you hear me, by the way?
Yes.
You'll have to yell now.
I speak very softly and deeply and nowadays.
Just speak really close to the mic so the online people can actually really hear you. And we're going to be very, very quiet.
Be really quiet. What we do is we enter into a silence. Kind of holy silence really is where we all end up in the final analysis anyway. After all the mind chatter just dies down. The body stops shaking for a moment, or whatever it does. So it's really wonderful to have all the faces back here again. Anita, welcome back from India and great trips abroad to great adventures on our behalf, which are all conducted within the presence of your mind now. Isn't that an amazing thing? We can go anywhere we like. We're still just here now. I can have all kinds of bodily afflictions, like you can, everybody's suffering from something right now, right? But yeah, beyond that, there is a knowing that you're okay, knowing of the presence, which is never leaves me, even in the greatest fearful, ugly, terrible moments. If you really just breathe and go into that silence just for a minute, you discover again that, well, I'm okay. Nothing going on really from one moment to the next, except the story that I, as a separate entity, choose to perpetuate through too. Seems to be true. That I can tell a story and live that story and be that time and time again, resurrecting my story of the body, serial adventures in the world, continually doing really nothing except expressing God, expressing through me that ability to really to see everything as it appears. It's an amazing thing.
Give a feedback, Peter. You are very audible when your mic is close to your mouth,
Okay.
and inaudible when it's not. Yes, maybe.
Oh, no,
No?
I'd better if I do it myself because I'll move around.
Keep flowing. This is beautiful.
Yeah, it's really great to be here again this morning. What does the story tell you? The story tells you it's saying, well, my body's not up to it. I'm not going to. Yeah, right. Yeah, did you catch that? No, maybe.
I did not.
Yeah. What an incredible thing it is. I look around and I see how much difference there is between people. They're all incredibly nuts. Incredibly and beautifully nuts. It's amazing. The difference between me and Dean, whom I love dearly. Of course, we all love Dean. Why not? But the difference between me and Dean is as much as the difference between me and Cat, it's maximal, it's maximized out. Because that's what, this capacity is a storytelling capacity which enables us to be as different as we want to be from the next person. And what are we doing all the time? We separate, we make ourselves into this entity which is somehow defined by the differences between us rather than the similarities. And yet we try to be normal. Everyone's in this aspiration to be normal. It's crazy, isn't it? Really, rather than do what we're learning here is, rather than having a better idea of yourself, but rather than building this better notion of a self, we are just remembering a different way, which is to question the construction of that self altogether. And if you turn and look the other way, what do we discover? We discover that, well, I don't really exist outside of the thoughts that I have about me in this particular instance. What do I know for certain? Absolute certain. I think it's a really good question to ask. And I have to assume that you're all asking that. That's why you come here. Ask the question, who am I? And do I exist outside of the thoughts that I apparently have as a separate entity about myself in relationship to others? And of course, you must come to the conclusion that you don't. There is no thought that can hold me, no thought that can hold you anywhere. Can I hold you in anything? As the person with the sore back there, Verity? In the next instant, you are what you're going to be, whatever that will be, according to my personal way in which I tend to separate out rather than find joining. And so, what more can I say? Take a moment. We're always present. Every instant, we're present. We don't go somewhere. When we leave this, we don't become real people again and then come here and experience being not real or something along those lines. I really don't have any ideas here. I'm just sort of flopping along. There's nothing I can present can surpass the personal experience of presence now. No idea will work. That's the problem we all face, isn't it? We come to this conceptual end. So, there we are. We're at the conceptual end. And everything's turning up brand new all the time anyway. So there's no need to know anything. Is there a need to know anything at all? What do you think, Paula?
I totally agree.
Yeah. There's no provisos, there's no way of speaking about this which will cut it. Because in the end, you just end up back in that same place all the time. And I'm going out, I've got this bright idea today. Everyone's going to listen to me because I'm the expert in non-duality. Yeah, I keep.
Good idea.
Yeah, but then I go to nowadays. I find the mouthing ideas and things that come, these bright ideas that flash into the mind. Yeah, that's it. I got it. Now I can rest. Essence it just evaporates, disappears on me. That's the nature of the world, is that it's ephemeral and empty. There's no promise in any idea, none. So what do I know for certain? Back at that question again. Well, what can I say? I do know that I'm capable of great hate and great love. It seems. So that was an idea that I just posited and found. I don't know, I can't really say that holds any value in time at all. So all I can say is that my mind holds nothing that is true. Is that true? Well, that's an idea as well, isn't it? So what do I know? Nothing. I know nothing. Nothing. No thing I know. I don't even know what nothing means. However, I'm aware of being present prior to the construction or the expression of any idea. Is that true? Well, that's another bloody idea, isn't it? Unless it isn't. And this is where we come into that place where we feel somehow different. It's non-communicable. I can't communicate anything to you which you will believe and take home with you. So I remember a little story. Everything I say is going to be a story, by the way. Which is okay, because we can use everything that is said for the purpose of just recognizing who we really are, which is God. And that's the only conclusion you can come to. Something's going on, but I know that I know I'm present in a direct sense. Right now, I've always known this. Never left me. There's never been a change that has occurred in the knowledge, this direct sense of self, which is also, you can call that awareness, you can call it whatever you like. No matter, but the knowledge of the, in a direct sense, prior to any formulation of an idea whizzing through the brain, is what we somehow are. Not the idea of that, and I'm not asking anybody to take home any notion of what's going on. If you do that, then clearly it will dissolve on you. Nothing's going to be here to support you as a separate entity. Is that all right? That's the question. All right. Well, I'm just going to stop from that. I was going to stop it. Now I'll stand up. Maybe we could try something different today than we normally do. This is not really a spiel, I'm sorry. I'm just talking. But if someone wanted to, be here on a hot seat, it could be an interesting thing to do. Anyone willing? What I'm suggesting is someone just come and tell me and make themselves available to something. a change of some kind. If we don't have any takers, that's all right too. No pressure, Jordan. The Jordan one. All right, well, it's a big ask.
We also have online people who can include.
All right.
Have a say if you like.
Sure.
Yeah, so we have good morning messages. We have hello to everyone and hello from Italia, and same awareness, says Anthony. All the same awareness, but the differences are why we are here. Beautiful. And I know nothing too, says Inge. Laura says morning, and Anthony also says digest the idea. Let it pass through the system. And Catherine, there is no we to differentiate in awareness. There is no my awareness. And Jenny says, big love to all. We'll catch up when night has turned into a day again. And I'd like to say thank you. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. That was a really nice, strong, energetic delivery of the certainty of presence, which is really all, we find ourselves here. And just before the meeting started, Paula was saying that people whisper in the room, where else would you be? Here. Well, the truth is, it is always here, isn't it? The content of here is changing, but the experience is always here. And it is kind of funny how it appears. And I love the way, Peter, you said it, in the conceptual idea of or notion of what is going on, in the notion of what is going on, it appears like, you came from downstairs, or you from upstairs, or you came by tram, or you arrived by car and you walked in here and this is where you are sitting. That's the conceptual notion of what is going on. And it kind of feels, within that construct of a dream, it feels accurate, a good description, good for communication. But that's not a direct experience. That is not. In the direct experience, there is no past. Past is only an image. Hi, Bren. No worries. So this is taken. You can grab the seats there. Yes. Or yeah. Yeah, so the direct experience is always the experience of right here, right now. And the content of this experience may be a notion of the past half an hour ago. How did I get here? Or how did I wake up in the morning? Or what did I have for breakfast if I had any, or any of that? But that is only a fleeting memory appearing in that space here, in this moment right now. And there is never, ever, ever any other moment. So what we do here, actually, we just point back to the here, to the here-ness of here. And we recognize that here, that capacity for knowing, that cognizing emptiness that is here, and a here is undefinable either. It's just here. That's the only thing that could be said about it without creating false sense of boundaries, locations, which are only existing in the thought. Our cat Pesto doesn't know anything about deep in suburb Australia or this living room, nothing. And yet the experience is of here. And in that experience of here, there is idea of yesterday or 10 years ago, or idea, all possible ideas. But what are they? They're just mental constructs. Experience is here. Ideas, of course, they are experienced in a way, but they are experienced here. They're experienced presently. They are not being lived. We can't live yesterday. We can't live 10 years ago. So really putting the heart and prioritizing present awareness. Again, you can, I like Peter when you said you can use whatever word you want, because cognizing emptiness is as good as of a word, because I like when Tony argues with the awareness that that's already too much to say. I can't say there is a me having an awareness, or I having, or there is awareing. None of it. But the content is cognized. The emptiness have the capacity to notice or cognize. And that is the direct experience. There is a cognizing capacity here. I can't say it is mine. I can't say I'm big, small, whatever, but there is a capacity for knowing, for cognizing. So the presumption is that there is an existence, and that existence has this capacity. But again, this is wording. What we can and we cannot stop experience is just this here now. And whatever it contains is secondary. The fact of the here and now is primary. The content of it is secondary. And the content, again, I like, Peter, how you highlighted, the differentiation. Suddenly that here, which is limitless, which is timeless, boundless, spaceless, is just a here that is, suddenly appears as the 10,000 things, as all that beautiful uniqueness, every pattern, shape, and form, as different as it can possibly be. You can focus on the differences and you will see the magnificence of that creative power of the universe, which you can call God the creator. It creates every movement of attention, and you look anywhere, you look and the universe unfolds like a fractal. You look at the clump of grass or the dog shit or into an eyes of anyone, enemy. And the more attention goes there, the more of the reflection of that creative power of the universe shows up, the infinity, the absolute. Because that's the only way the absolute, the infinity, experiences itself as a pattern, shape, and form. It has a glimpse of itself as a reflection of the pattern, shape, and form. And those patterns and shapes and form are nothing, but not a nothing. So this is where the conundrum lies. Looking with your heart, resonating, going back to the experience of knowing, to the directness of knowing. And yes, aliveness, cognizing emptiness, luminous, radiant, alive, here, miraculous, wow. And then going to the mind, interpretation, yeah, but this is not quite it, there is a me and I didn't get it and I'll have to get it later and I'm suffering and they got it, they know better, I don't, I have to practice, I have to do something, there is a future, in that future I'll get there. A lot of presumptions. But this is the interpreting services, this is the machinery that interprets that vibrancy of life and makes the pattern, shapes and forms out of it. You can have a thought about the beach and their sensations will be reflected in the body, the commentary will be reflected in the body. Another thought may arise about potential tragedy or drama or loss. And again, reflection in the body of that thought will have the full experience, full body experience of whatever it contains, the mental image. And that is what Bob used to call the energy of belief. And this is really what stands in the way of direct realization that what is right here, always here, is not obscured. It's already to be recognized. It is already foretaken. It's already undeniably what you are. What you are is again the wrong word, because it really is a realization that you are, not what you are, but that you are. And you are. You can't stop being. That cognizing emptiness or that isness is here. On that basic screen of isness, the whole world appears in all those beautiful pattern, shapes and forms, in all its glory and uniqueness, to be appreciated as the reflection of that which you are. And the world is projected and it is interpreted and it is made into a story, which is habitually related to a me, which is also a story. So there is the miraculousness of existence, and now there is an interpreting of it happening. We are here, we arrived here, and we are here because we share the love of truth. And as someone was pointing out, Anthony, I think, there is no we. We is a thought. Yesterday is a thought. Arriving here from somewhere else is a thought. Even here is a thought. But it is as close to the experience as it could be. Just like Nisargadatta was pointing out, that I am is as close to the experience of that pure existence as it can be, using the words, translating the experience into the concept, because that's how we communicate in the dream. And again, we communicate in the dream. The dream is to be appreciated. Without the dream body, without the dream characters, without the dream setting of those shapes and forms, there is no expression, there is no experiencing. So from the individual perspective, it may be daunting. Oh my God, how am I going to stop being a character? Well, a question. It can't happen. It is absolutely impossible. It can't. The dream character cannot wake up. It cannot stop being what it is. Realization is that you are not the dream character and you never were dream character. You are the emptiness, the field of cognizing, in which that interface of a dream character is showing up to experience and express, to see the reflection of the absolute in every pattern, form, and shape. And that recognition is available moment to moment through the direct experience by relaxing the notions. I like that word, Peter. All the notions, relaxing all the notions, all the ideas, all the interpretations. Or it kind of sounds mysterious. How am I going to relax the thinking? But there is no I relaxing thinking. It's just thinking going on, and an easy way to realize that this is just part of the manifestation, and it is habitually prioritized and habitually given that attention, which is the energy of belief, by opening it up. Include, because Bob was talking always about the unfixated awareness. Unfixated awareness is that relaxed attention, is the attention that is not drawn into the thinking, exclusively fueling and believing the interpretation, the narration that is completely automatic. By inclusion, there is an air conditioner running. Just include that sound, include the traffic, include the sensation of the back on a chair, and hold it somehow, 5 senses wide open, just including other sensory experiences. How little of the processing power is left for imagination, for the future, for the past, when the attention is relaxed. And the relaxation sometimes is easy when you press it harder, and just stop. So holding on to something harder and then withdraw, or picking up few things and just dispersing that attention nicely, dispersing between 3 or 4 different sounds in a space, and just even locating them in a space. That's another piece of processing which relaxes the attention. And now in that relaxed attention, the constructing of the notions or ideas doesn't have enough fuel to run. So that here stands alone, fresh and new and obvious. And it is fulfilling. There is nothing wrong. When there is no thought, when there is no imagination, which is interpretation, all the overlay of making sense of the world, where are we, who are we, what are we doing, where are we going, all of that is the realm of imagination. All of that is the realm of what is not happening. And it only happens because of the completely automated habit of narrating, interpreting the urges of the body, which nobody does. It feels that there is an I that says, yes, but there isn't any I that says it. It's a piece of software that says, yes, but I'm not there yet. I didn't get it. Like the Siri in your phone. It says, I'll tell you a joke, but there is no I. It's a software. It doesn't, there is no one there saying anything. It's the narrative function, which is interpreting urges into the language of symbols, is no different to the function of digestion. It's also automatic function. Or sweating, or growing hair. All of that is just a part of the setting of that body-mind costume or machinery, so that life essence has the utilities, has the holes for the eyes to see, and the ears, and the mouth, and to taste, and all that. is just a brilliant arrangement for the life to get the glimpse of itself. But the software that shows up in the middle, mediating that direct experience of here nowness, of beingness, translating it into an imagined entity that runs the show, that controls the thinking and doing such a bad job with it, that controls the feelings and failing, constantly failing, because who would want to feel miserable? Who would want to feel or think doubts? Obviously, nobody does it because, well, if there was anyone, that would be nuts. And if there was anyone, that could have been stopped. But it can't, just like digestion runs of its own, unless the machine is broken. So thinking runs of its own, unless the machine is broken. If you get the brain damage, stroke, Alzheimer's, the thinking may stop.
On that point,
Yeah, go for it.
I'd just like to add a few things. One is that no matter what's occurring, you still have the capability to, well, not even you having a capability, it's just self-expressing. It's continually self-expressing this thing called life. You know, the essence of life is always going on. In my case, I had a brain operation, which is probably the worst sort of thing you might consider to be for a spiritual aspirant. You know, to have your discerning capability completely taken away for a moment. Well, that's what they did. This is a nice story. Everybody loves a bit of a story, so here we go. Yep. They put the electrodes.
Yeah.
Sorry, put the electrodes into my head, but afterwards the whole brain needed time to readjust to what was going on. I couldn't speak, I couldn't do anything, I couldn't walk. I had a seriously difficult time, as you might attest. But yeah, through all of that though, there was this consistency that I saw. And the consistency was a direct experience of just being here, direct experience of being alive, part of the thing called life in its purity. And it was there in blazing glory because nothing else was really there in the same kind of context, at least, as we think we behave and operate in a world. You know, how important are the intellectual concepts to this world? Right, you've got to get it right. Always got to get it right. Can never be wrong. You know. Well, that was a great motivating force for me to, rather than to be a force for good, it was a force to maybe, keep the separation at bay, to keep it going. The more I know, the better off, and the more different I can define myself as, and so thereby the separate self comes into being all the time. Yeah, that's the way it works. And that's okay though. In the end run, it doesn't matter. There's no negatives here. There's no positives either. They just are as they are. Only this is what I'm aware of. In that time, I remember Bob and Kat came to visit me, and after the operation, and I was sitting there. I was totally non-compos mentis. I couldn't do anything, and yet I was aware, and I could connect with Bob really easily. Actually, not for any reason other than I knew that he had experienced similar things, with his body going into decline. But he already knew. Of course, he knew, and I could use him. Put it that way, use him as an example of someone who was on the same wavelength, so to speak. And being on the same wavelength means that one is merely resonating with that other person, resonating with the life in that person. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what it is. You can still find what we would define as being God in that place of what we call resonance. I hate these words that become so hackneyed. They become part of the lexicon of being, the non-dual, I'm a non-dual specialist. Something like that. It's crazy, isn't it? And so you don't come here to find any good idea. Right? Throw that away, I reckon. A good place to start and come with wholly open hands and mind. Every Sunday, this Sunday now, every moment of the day is an opportunity, isn't it, to go home, to find that you aren't, but everything is. And it is everything expressing as the individual. And that way, all your brother's always right. A line in the Course in Miracles somewhere there that says that your brother is always correct, always right. And in the sense that no matter what your brother, being anyone at all, says to you, it has to be correct in the sense that anything is correct, because really nothing is correct in conceptual terms, but you share with them the certainty of the purity of life that you are. You just need to have a look and see that that's true beyond the concepts. A really good idea is to ask oneself, do I really know that this is true that I'm saying? Do I really know that it's true beyond the non-conceptual? Yeah, that'll do.
When Peter was speaking, it reminded me of something I remembered again earlier this week during a Zoom meeting that Bob said to me in this room about maybe 2 weeks before he passed. And I was pottering around in the kitchen. He called me over and he said, "What are you doing?" And then he said, "What do you know?" The answer to both questions is nothing and no thing. The only thing you can ever be certain of is that there is an isness. And the moment you put a word on it, you screw it up. You try and label it. You can't. There's kind of a need to say something to communicate it, but it's not possible. You limit it as soon as you put a label on it, use a word. But we all know intrinsically what it is. Rely on that. That's it.
It's obvious as all hell, really. Just now.
And include the online community also. Gather the yes. So we have Anthony says the limitation of words, I. And Catherine says, what words were you born with? And that's really great reminder. The non-conceptual awareness, as Tanya just said, we all know it intrinsically. There is a knowing, intrinsic knowing, without the words. It's non-conceptual, so no words needed to express it. But who can try and not exist for a moment, 5 minutes, for a minute? So this known. And Anthony also says stories are great ways of transmitting this truth ironically. That's how we communicate, ironically, because it is non-conceptual. But like in the music, it is beautiful because of the gaps between the notes that create the flow. When the words are transmitted, there is still a transmission, energetic transmission of that certainty which lies underneath the expression. And if there is a self that is out of the way, that expression is the pure life, unobscured and unadulterated by any idea of me doing something, saying something. There is no translation or credit-taking agency mitigating that natural expression. And stories, yes, they can inspire and they point. Lovely. Sophie says, wise and wonderful woman, speaking directly, strength with great gentleness. Happy International Women's Day. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Sophie. And dear Peter, now you are an example too of honesty, courage, and love. So lovely to resonate with you here. Oh, Sophie is in Portugal. So wonderful to have you here. I guess maybe you are in the UK now. It's the middle of the night nonetheless. And yeah, lovely to have you. And Nishkala says, there is a Facebook feedback from one of the mics. Oops. Maybe they were too close. Okay. We'll just, sorry. Thank you. And Anthony says, it is like walking on water, but don't fall in. That's a nice story. That's a beautiful story. The gentleness of just, beautiful. And Catherine says, there are no stories that transmit the truth, only the belief in a story. Well, yes, if there is no receptivity, there is a belief on the story and no resonation. But if there is openness, if there is receptivity, then of course, everything transmits the truth. The bird singing transmits the truth. Because any form that appears in the field, be it a sound or be it a shape, is really a manifestation or expression of that formlessness. So yes, the attention, if it is filtered through the mind, it completely misses out what underlies the story. But if the attention is in the core or the essence, there is nothing that can obscure it. No story, no concept, no belief, no fanaticism can never obscure the fact that if not for that existence underlying it, there couldn't be a fanaticism, violence, a dream, a belief, nothing. And Nishkala says, not now. We have Bill says, awareness is self-illuminating and the only constant, requiring no subject, object, or validation. Absolutely. And it is free to express. It's not that if there is awareness, there is a need for silence and being mute and sit still in samadhi. Awareness is ever free. And even if the expression is from the absolutely confused, crazy mind, it is still the same life using the crazy interface, but it's still expressing itself. It's just that when the interface, the translation, the crazy part of the translating and expressing and that pure essence is seen through, then naturally it can't be believed anymore. Then naturally it doesn't matter whether it sings or what it sings. And Tibor says, sometimes the second mic has a lot of handling noise off camera, not feedback. Aha. Okay. Thank you, Tibor. I'll try to keep it on something soft, maybe.
Probably me shaking around.
Yes, could be. Yeah, we'll watch it out. Do you want to add something, Peter?
Yeah, I'm always up to add something more. That's the thing, isn't it? I'm always there to add something more. I think that's a really good thing to look at, isn't it? Why are we speaking here? Yeah. Why do we do anything at all?
We do not. We do not. It only appears this way. There's
Yeah.
no doer
Well,
anywhere.
that's true. That's true.
Why are we breathing? Why are we beating our hearts? We don't.
Yeah. This is the end of all of that discussion. You see? You take it to an end point, and that's the end. No more to say. In the meantime, we fumble around trying to express ourselves and to be with something beyond what we consider ourselves to be. It's always wrong. Always, always wrong. Never right. What a relief. We're relieved from the guru model now.
Yeah. Being wrong. What a relief.
Amen.
Beautiful. Amen. Yes.
We're relieved from the guru model, meaning that we cannot aspire to be a teacher of any kind at all.
No.
And get away with it, really. That was a great aspiration for me over a long period of time, to be a teacher, a good teacher. Got to get the concepts right, got to express myself differently.
What
all
an
that.
invitation to be something.
Oh, yeah. Crazy.
Rather than being nothing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Would you like to?
Oh. I've got myself the mic somehow. Yeah, that belief, if it becomes a belief, that the chain of thoughts and ideas and concepts about thinking, driving here, did I have time for a coffee? Oh, maybe I can. I might be running late. I mightn't get a seat. Or stop. Yes, I've got one. Oh, I'm here early. Blah blah blah. I think, but it's just that the dawning, or I think you're saying coming back to it, or recognizing what you really are, is that timeless livingness, not the chatter that goes on about what you're doing and what you're not doing or whatever. Just that being. And I like what you said, Kat, about the air conditioner and being alive to all the senses, that in that listening to the birds or seeing the traffic from a different point of view or just being with the senses, suddenly all the chatter drops back and that recognition takes place again, that what you really are is none of that thinking about who you are, where you are, or what you're doing is important. That just goes on by itself. It always goes on by itself, and we attribute ourselves as being the doer or the thinker or the mover and the shaker, but it's not the case. It's not any of those conceptual ideas. And yet you can get lost in the conceptual ideas at times and think that, this is happening to me and what am I going to do and blah, blah, blah. But that all drops away at some stage and you realise that was all a passing dream too. So, yeah, really good to hear you, Peter. It was terrific spiel, and it's nice to be sharing it with all of you today. And that's another thing, is that I've got people going through things at the moment in my life, but the realisation that there is no separation, that we are just that beingness, the oneness, and the mind creates the other person that's going through something, or that we're experiencing something different. It's all mental conceptualization. There is just the one being, really, and all these mind ideas come into it about who they are and what they're going through is completely a product of thinking.
Yeah, that's quite right.
Yeah.
Everything's a product of the mind in separation. A funny thing, isn't it? They clearly are beautiful. Can be very beautiful too. Just look around and see how crazy everybody is. You're completely nuts. But I'm also completely nuts. Woo!
Good concept.
And the difference between us is not any distance at all. really can overcome that quite clearly simply by including everybody in as me. It really is what's happening. I see difference only when I see differences do I see myself. This is God in action, if you like. I see. I think you are nuts, completely nuts, Tanya. Pardon?
You nailed it.
Yeah. It doesn't matter now. Way too late in the piece to worry about any differences. You know.
But we are all nuts, we all mind, right?
Yeah,
What a beautiful way of bringing everything to collapsing the separation. Even if you use the words that may sound like a judgment, but it's a cute judgment, not it's a cute
What
one.
an amazing illusion. What an amazing, whatever's going on, how awesome, in awe of it, that these apparent seeming individual entities are buying the illusion that they are an individual entity, a unit, separate from.
Yeah.
Incredible. Incredible. And you said the word why before, and it's natural to ask. But why not? Who is there to ask that question, to care? Can you find them? Can you find it? The person who cares about the answer to that question? No. No one there.
And also,
Yeah.
also why is a switch on for the improvising capacity of the mind that will generate a lot of stories. Make sure you generate more than one, because one is really, really easy to believe and get lost in. But if there is few stories why, then we can laugh at all of them. We can just include them. The story why is literally a switch on for the improvising capacity of that interpreting services to bring a good story. Why we here? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I playing this role? Well, you are not. But the moment you ask the question why, the mind will answer. Why was I born? Or who was I last century? Or, you ask any of the questions, and if there is no ready-made answer, it will be made up. Because like ChatGPT, absolutely. But ChatGPT is a little bit more kind of reliable because it bases on the common knowledge of the collective illusion called world. While this one, it doesn't base on anything. It's a random associations that will bring, you ask it about past incarnations or whatever, and there is no data. So it will just beautifully improvise it. It's like a dancer. It's incredible. So trusting this is nuts, is being nuts, absolutely, believing it. But yet, that role of playing a role of being nuts, or playing a role, any role, is also part of the automatic functioning. You are in front of your children, you are a father. You are in front of your spouse, you are a partner. You are in front of whatever, the shopkeeper, you are a client or customer or whatever you are. Automatically, there is no need to think about it. Those roles are already preconditioned in the machine. One thing that is conscious about it all is that you can just sit back, relax the awareness, and noticing capacity, cognizing emptiness, being that emptiness with the capacity of cognizing whatever the mind is bringing up, creating, expressing, watching it, enjoying it. And I have beautiful comment from Bill here, who says, freedom is easier than talking about it. And that is, my God, Bill, if you don't mind, I put it as a title. We love talking about it because that's just love for life and love for the truth expressing. And there's nothing wrong in talking, and there's no choice whether talking happens or it doesn't. But yes, the freedom is so inevitably underlying the talking, whether talking is there or is not there. It's much easier than talking about it, much more obvious. And Anthony says, always wrong. Beautiful. Yeah, the mind is always wrong. There is no truth in concepts. Concepts are namarupa. They belong to the illusion, to Maya. Satchitananda is the reality. Being, awareness of being, and the love of being, the existence. That is never changing. That is what we are, the space-like awareness. Names, forms, concepts, ideas, the thoughts are constantly changing. So they part of the illusion. Madness is the reality. Ha, Anthony, always wrong. He says first, beautiful, and then madness is the reality. Ha, yes, the madness of thinking is the seeming reality, seeming, because all thoughts are mad. And also, Bill says, life is never ahead of itself, only thoughts are. You go, Cliff.
Well, just the thinking goes on, but we talk about believing the story, you know, but the problem is we believe the rubbish that comes up or seize on it and take it to be the real. But what is that believing? I know Bob used to say acceptance of an alleged fact, etc. You know,
in the absence of reason.
In the absence of reason, but what is it that accepts? You know, there's another in literature I often read. It says insanity is believing a lie, and it's all lies in a way. All the concepts aren't real, and yet people will go around talking it. Well, you know, I've done it too. Talk it as if it's the truth. And what makes that fine line between believing it and seeing it as a lie?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. Yeah.
There's a Buddhist monk who said, without mindfulness and wisdom close to the heart, we become mere performing puppets. And he quoted the Buddha in one of his suttas, explaining to a senior monk about nama rupa. And he was saying that nama rupa work together, and then they convince one that they're real. They're the real person, self-entity, separate self-entity. And he said, just as a wooden puppet will stand up, move about, appear full of life and energy, just so with nama and rupa working together, there appears to be someone who stands up, moves around, talks, appears to be full of life and energy when there's really no one there. It's like Peter saying, it's all, the work of madmen. But it starts with ignorance. And what the ignorance is about is ignorance of our true nature.
I wanted to say that ignorance of our true nature is a simple thing. Everybody knows the answer. It's not difficult. Trouble is, every man, his dog wants to be the next guru, the next teacher. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's one too many gurus out there already. And so what can we do now? And do with all the knowledge. Be nothing is all we can do. That's what that presentation out there seemingly is telling us again and again and again. I am nothing. I don't even exist. I'm just, again, this unfolding of ideas that happens. Everyone is equally mad. It's not like you're mad than anybody else, you're not. But in that recognition, that everyone is crazy, or everyone is more enlightened than the next guy, whatever way you want to look at it, doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, because in one fell swoop you can see that nobody's madder than anybody else. In that place, all of a sudden we come into a realization of the wholeness of everything, non-dual nature of the whole thing. If everyone's crazy, equally crazy, and the difference between people is equal, in a spiritual sense, if you like, we see what is really going on here. The unlimited expression of God through this apparatus called separation. You're kind of like rubber bands, right? You know, if you like, you're a rubber. You're connected with this rubber band. You're coming in and out of unity, into separation. And it's so far in that you have to bounce out again. Being the way of describing it, I suppose. Anyway, that's it.
Yeah, this there's in this craziness, there's nothing, no thing that is wrong intrinsically either. It just is. It's when we label it, and give it words, that we separate between good and bad and ordinary and hot and cold and whatever. And what is helpful, though, is to hold no concepts, to
Let them
play with them, let them play, let them flow, just and have that recognition of what's going on, but not grasping or taking anything, keeping anything that limits. Just be prepared to be, taken away with the flow, and that's all fine. Nothing wrong in this nutty craziness.
And we have here, Anika says, yes, the realization that there is no separation. This heart is feeling such acute love for all despite being in illusory crisis. Yes, I hope you are all right. Anika is in the midst of the eye of a cyclone, so I think the worst is behind you. And Laura, good to know we are equally crazy. We are one craziness. I don't know even about the crazy. It may hold the judgment for some people, but the all words can. I know that in your words, Peter, it is kind of cute and sweet being nut or being crazy. There's nothing wrong with that. It's there's a cuteness, there is a quality of like mischief. But yeah, as good word as any other, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I only use craziness because it's easier to deal with than any kind of intellectual superiority. You know? We're equally better than the next guy, or we're equally crazy. Yeah.
And Anthony says here, we can infer the sanity of that which is behind this manifestation. Yes, what is crazy, what is saying, everything is as it is. I love when Tanya highlights, be like a sky. Clouds they just are. They no good, no bad, they no crazy, no black, no dark, they just are. They passing through, they move on. Same as thoughts, ideas, the emptiness, cognizing emptiness, it allows everything equally. It doesn't even allow it. It is. It just is. Just is. And that isness is inherently what we all share. The isness. That's regardless of forms in which it appears. And also, I wanted to kind of make it lighter, that beautiful idea that Peter, again, humans in the dream, in the human experience, is largely shared. I need to find out who I am. I need to be something else. I need to be this, that, and the other. I need to be a mom. I need to be a teacher. I need to be a better wife. I need to be a politician. Whatever it is, it always presumes that there is an I that has that desire, that drive, or that choice. If there isn't one, then who needs to be what? And why would the life itself ever want to limit itself to one temporary role in the appearance? And then again, as Bob always pointed out, it is about the message. It isn't about the teacher, about the messenger. It isn't about which mouthpiece the message is delivered or is expressing through. That one, it doesn't matter. It's a form. It is gonna rot. It is gonna die. Whether it happened in 20 years or 120 years, who cares? This is a piece of flesh. This is a meat factory, shit factory, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just a mouthpiece. So who wants to be and what and why? It is just this isness here, right here, the isness. And through that isness, life is looking and seeing the room from different angles. And through the isness of the whale, it sees the waves of the reefs. And through the isness of the bird, it sees the whatever, eagles flying, mice, whatever. It is the same life utilizing the vehicles of expression for its own amusement, if one could say this way, because who cares really? It is just is. There is no why, there is no because, there is no need for justifying story of what is happening. The miracle of existence is happening. And the appreciation is on the menu. If there is no confinement or no limitation or no role that I encapsulate myself in, the cage of concept, I am this, I am a main speaker on the meeting. Shit. I am not. There is just isness. And I don't know my next thought, just like any of you, no one does. We don't know the next feeling, the next action, the next urge in the body. It may come as a burp, who knows? It's not who I am. It does its own thing. It does beat the heart, it does whatever, creates, moves the blood. I have no idea about that. It's lifing, it's doing its thing. And how wonderful to not believe or entertain any idea about this moment or any other moment to be any different than it appears right now, or any role for anyone to be any different, any limitation. They may arise. I want to be better at this. I want to learn another language, or I want to whatever, become something or the other. But if those thoughts are not entertained or believed in or taken on board, like Bob says, if they are not, the energy of belief is not giving them life, because that energy is only one energy, it's intelligence energy, it's all life. If they're not animated to appear alive and vibrant, if they're not hijacked like a virus of that system, they're free to move on. Just like Tanya was saying, don't hold the idea. Let them just float through, because that's what the space does. Space does not have preference for only positive thoughts and not negative thoughts. Space doesn't have any preferences at all. We can't even say that it exists. It's a field of potentiality. We can't say it doesn't exist because everything appears in it, but we can't even say it does. That's the mindfuck here, because it can't be expressed. It is incomprehensible. It is beyond the duality of the language of symbols. And that's the beauty of it, because at the same time, it can't be denied. In direct experience, you don't even need the language. You don't even need to express it. As Bill was saying, the freedom is easier than talking about it and thinking about it and pointing to it. Although it is a joy, it still is a joy. And we have, Anthony says, we can infer the sanity of that which is behind manifestation. Yes. And beautiful, says Anika, the miracle of existence is happening. It is, even in a crisis. And that's the beauty of it. Again, when you watch the nature, you watch the wildlife, the miracle of existence is happening. And the crisis is, let's face it, we happen, like cyclone, how many of them? I mean, I heard that one is every 40 years or something hitting that area, big crisis. Well, we have minor crises, but we don't have to survive every night. We don't have to watch out constantly for the predators like every other creature out there, including mosquitoes, including possums. So the comfort of the human life, we do really, to get the beauty of the duality, we do have to somehow, life does it, spice with psychological suffering, because we don't really have a serious problems for our bodies. Of course there are ailments, just like every other creature. but spicing it up with psychological suffering, which brings the craze up to the motivation of looking deeper, looking beyond the concepts. Well, that seems to be a common story shared in these rooms.
Anybody else want
Anyone? Anyone?
new blood here? What's that?
I was thinking a few days ago how, so I had a really tragic, traumatic childhood, and it's taken me every bit of my entire adult life to consciously, deliberately, intentionally work through that, through so many different modalities, including microdosing on psilocybin to help rewrite neural pathways. And it's just been a journey of angst. And the other day, I realized I survived my childhood. But the realization was one of liberation and one of, can I swear?
Go for it.
Really fucked off. Because I realized, fuck me. I actually finished surviving that the day I left home. What I didn't finish surviving was the mental construct of the pain of that.
Yes.
The psychological suffering. And it's really like fucking with me. Because I'm like, on the one hand, it's completely over. Like, it is over. There are no more nightmares. There's no more screaming out at the night. There's no more this. There's no more that. But it's that thing that you were saying, Kat. It's like we survive, but then we carry on with the story. And I thought, so I like suffered for 40 years after I left home at 16. I suffered for 40 years needlessly. I was a bit annoyed, and you think I'd be going woohoo, but I wasn't, and I'm still like walking through as if I'm walking through. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with me at the moment. I just feel like I'm walking through emptiness, and it just doesn't stop, and it won't stop, and there's nothing that the me can do to stop it. And I know that, and it's suffering, and it's pain, and it's also not. And it's like, what do you do with that on the human level? You don't. You just keep walking through. It's like the message, Pete. It's like as if you looked into my soul and spoke directly to me for me. I'm so grateful what you said. Everything you said just resonated 1000%. And it's like there's just this beautiful deliciousness of presence in this room. And there's also the realization of suffering and the realization that it doesn't have to be that way. Yeah. But I don't know how to drop that. And there's also the realization of there is no me to drop that.
That's it. Yeah.
But what do you do with that? Oh, well, you just keep walking through the fucking wilderness until one day the gateless gate appears.
Yes. And you trust that life is holding you already. You know, that life that brought you here, that life that is breathing you, beating your heart. Just relax, because that resistance and for me, all the psychological suffering and unresolved trauma in that one instant of disintegration of the idea of being separate self became impersonal. There is still a lot of neurosis, perhaps on many, many levels in the system, but it is not mine anymore. It doesn't cause any suffering anymore. I still have behaviors that I wouldn't speak to strangers or anything like that, but there is no anxiety or fear behind it, because the realization is that this is the conditioning of the body, and this is not mine, this is not me, this is not I. So now, because that life that sustains the body, it will always, it will take time, of course, to rewire some neural pathways, but it will always prioritize to keeping the body alive. That's the love of being. Trusting that life, if there is any residue of the individual that is preoccupied, engaged, sorry, suffering, longing, trusting, just relaxing back that attention which creates that form of individual, and really focusing, coming back to the heart and remembering that life is beating it for you. Life is going to rewire everything for you. The you is just a residue, is just a habit of hallucinating the self in time who went through all that. But that self never existed. It's only a habit of belief, habit of that animating energy still there. But the more you trust the life that is beating your heart, really even putting a hand on your heart and just, I'm totally taken care of. I don't have to worry. The less of that animating energy will be invested in hallucinating that self that which went through all that hell. And the memories are still going to be available. I have the darkest memories available anytime I reach out there. But again, they're not mine. They don't cause re-traumatization when I even narrate them. There is a freedom absolutely possible. And how it is going to unfold in every individual vehicle for life, that is unknown. And how and when and to which extent and how it is going to be dropping away and relaxing. But trust isn't it intuitive? To actually just, as you say, walking through it, just keep showing up, being here, walking through it and trusting that those things are already slowly easing off. And they'll continue.
There's no difference between you as you don't exist as a separate entity, separate to the suffering. You know, you are the pain and suffering in an instant that is there in the mind. It happens at the very same time. I don't know whether that helps, but it definitely helps me. If I find myself in anything but a condition of freedom, just totally expressing as I am without consequence is really what goes on. My body's a bit hard to deal with, but losing the track of what I wanted to say exactly. But just hold on a minute, it might come back. This. Hang on. Just hold on a moment.
Can I have another mic?
Yeah, I think it just the realization sort of struck me a while ago that I'm not the struggle I have with myself. I'm not the fight with my neurotic ideas or my habits or anything like that. Those things go on, but I realize they're not me. And the more I realize they're not me, the less important those things are and the less it seems to come up as an issue, It's just a stepping outside of all that in a way of just realizing you are that, you're not your past or your future or anything like that. You're not, and it seems so consuming. You think, oh, yeah, no, I get that. One day I'll get rid of this, and one day it won't happen like that, or something. All those things that you think habitually, you just see as mental habits. That pattern of thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally hear what you're saying, and I agree with everything you've all said. I feel like it's just the nervous system that has to learn to rewrite itself, because I realized this morning, this is just habit. This is just little habitual me, And there is really no walking around in the wilderness, although that's how it feels. It just feels like there's this never-ending wilderness. And it's like, just chill, Tasha, because it's just the fucking nervous system. That's all. Just, I don't know. I actually don't know. Don't know. But thank you. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that spiel. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I really think that the key issue here is just simply to to be, to recognise where your definition comes in, and who are you really? That's all. Keep looking at that. Is that the truth? How do I know that for certain? Do I know that I am this thing that's suffering? under some neurological condition. Like you are in the moment you entertain the thought of it, and that's it. That's the way it works, you see. That's the way the separation apparatus works. In the instant that you think it, you are it. And no, you are not it, because that evaporates all the time. Try and keep it in place. You can't. That's the truth of you. I always go, whenever I'm in doubt, I bring it back to first principles. First principle is, where is this occurring? Well, here and now. All I am is here and now. What do I know for certain in all of this? Do I know the story? Any element of the story is true? No, I definitely agree with you that these things can be very emotionally charged. They can be. But they're only ever an instant anyway. There's no difference between this instant and some other instant. In its content, maybe. But it just shows how much that content is irrelevant to the whole situation. That's what we learn here. We go the other way. Like, you're trying all the time. We try all the time. I'm not separating you out at all. But you try all the time to make a better idea of self. Be a better idea of me, a better version of me. Somehow I'm wrong. Somehow I got it all wrong. The fact that I think all the thoughts under the sun appear to be take ownership of that in that moment. Makes that impact in truth. What do you know for certain? That's a question I'm asking you right now. What do you know for certain?
You don't know.
Yeah.
What I know for certain? What I know for certain, I don't know.
You know that you don't know.
Yeah.
But you know you have to be, not to know.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean you're not my slave girl. As cute as you are, you're not my slave girl. For sure, without a doubt, I know that I don't know.
Well, that's right. But do you know that you don't know?
Oh.
Whatever
I don't know.
I don't even know that I don't know. All of that is where I'm unraveled completely in the instant.
And it's okay.
Yeah, brilliant actually. Be free of all the notion of the heart. We never want anything to be solid, really. Would you want to know that anything is real?
Sometimes.
Do you really want a reference point?
Sometimes, yes.
Other than,
I know I'm not supposed to say that from a non-dual point of view, but truth is, sometimes, yes. I don't want to be clever, Thank you.
I just wanted to say one time I had a panic attack come up in the not too distant past, and from some old trauma, totally unexpected, totally frozen, totally fucked. And I remember coming to Bob and Kat's place, and Bob said to me, "Anita, are you unaware right now?" And it just took it's like pulling an electric plug out. I'm in this head going, I'm not safe, I'm not safe, I'm not safe, I'm not safe. And it was an old program, right? Something got triggered. It was an old program. And he just said, "Anita, are you unaware right now?" And I thought, it's happening within awareness. And who is aware and what is aware? It was really quite remarkable for me at that time. I found that such a beautiful pointer at that time when I was in total freeze mode. Yeah, so, those are just, the sense of self is a bad habit. It's just habitual. Yeah.
When those thoughts arise and there's an awareness of them, you could see it as an invitation to do the investigation. and take a look and see if you can find Tasha.
Oh, she's dissolving.
Can you find a reference point for Tasha? Can you find a boundary?
I know the right things to say.
I know, but and then take a look at where's this looking coming from? Who's looking? And you realize you can't find who's looking. And so on and so on and so on, back to infinity. There's just what is happening. But it's an invitation when those thoughts come up. And I had a similar childhood, as you know. This is an opportunity to take a look and find out who's suffering. Find the entity, the supposed entity that's suffering.
I have a couple of comments here to include. And we have a couple of minutes. Okay, so Bill says, look out the window. Life is just life. Can't add to or delete anything from it. But we can snazzy things up a bit by adding a theoretical makeover. That's exactly what is happening. Life is right here, right now, unaltered, unmodified, uncorrected. And we add to it all the concepts, all the ideas, all the past, the future, the interpretation, beautiful. And Martin says, look at what obscures the I amness, which is non-conceptual. Something is aware of these thoughts. These thoughts come and obscure the natural awareness. The belief in the obscuration is believing that this thought that appears and disappears is you. Nothing you can do about any of this, and I don't know that. Just life appearing. Don't listen to anything I say, please. This was beautifully put, Martin. It was beautiful. It was perfect. That's it. This is roughly the same what Tanya was saying. Just really noticing capacity and using those thoughts as the opportunity to see where they appear to, who they appear to, where they. And Gilbert says, apparently the BS never stops. There is no need to buy into any of it. Do not buy shares in the counterfeit enterprise. The me is a total fiction. Beautiful. And Anthony says, that one that reaches into the bag of experiences needs to be bathed in the light of truth and love. That's beautiful. Yeah. Kill the ego by drowning it in love. It can't take it. It can't. It's made of fear and insecurity and it's illusory. It's a cage of concept which needs constant defending of this illusory boundaries. It is nothing. And Laura says, thank you. Great meeting. Wonderful to be back in the Sangha. Wonderful to have you, Laura. And Anthony says, knowing is the biggest thorn. Knowing, the capacity for knowing or cognizing emptiness, knowing this or that is the illusion. I know that I don't know. Even here, you can ask, who is it that knows that they don't know? Who is it that knows that you don't know? Who is uncertain there? Is there anyone there? Or it's just a wave of uncertainty just floating through that cognizing emptiness that is aware of that wave containing the word I. Now this is an I that is uncertain. But hey, who knows? Or where is that uncertain I known in? That emptiness, that cognizing field of knowing or awareness registers that uncertain I. But that's not me. The field registers something that in a moment, in an instant, gets like flooded with that animating essence and it feels real, just like Santa Claus for a child is believed. But again, who is believing? That space, in the space, the whole show arises and it is known in that space. And space doesn't believe anything. It just holds space for whatever is arising. It's like the screen, like Bob talks about the empty screen. It just is a screen for whatever the movie, the drama, the comedy. And just relaxing, stepping back and realizing there's always the bigger picture of just, this is the content, this is whatever happening. Even if the content, because especially the traumatizing thought will shake the whole system, will create the hormones, will create stress in the system, will make the breathing shallow, will cause all that incredible reflections, like the body is a mirror for that thought to really be experienced fully. But those reflections, this shallow breathing, these tensions here, they are also known. And the pure knowing of it is not affected by it. The pure knowing, the knowing. And it's always delightful to actually, I was walking people through panic attacks, asking them questions. Okay, tell me about the breath. Tell me about mental images. Tell me about, the shakiness. Isn't it fascinating? Oh shit, it's going away. No, stay there. I want to get to know you better. It almost invites you to really want to dive deeper. And thank you, Dean. I can see you. Punch it. And thank you, everyone.